Aditya Ravindran, are you there? It's here. Can you hear us, Aditya? Hello, Aditya, can you hear us? Yes, Aditya, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, finally we are able to get him as well. All right. Okay, so are you all able to, what you call, go through the Dockerized this one? Were you able to install Docker?
Yes, sir.
Yes, everybody got Docker?
Yes, sir.
How many of you were able to get the Vrx environment running other than the Vrx team? Vrx environment with Docker. How many of you were able to get that running? No? It can be either a yes or a no. It can't be maybe.
No, sir.
Sir,
I
I have
installed Docker, but yet to test it with the Vrx.
Yes, sir. Same. Like we have installed it on the host machine only.
You have installed it on the host machine. So let's try it out with the Docker. Has anybody tried it out with the Docker? Nope. Nope. Okay. All right. So then we'll do that today, hopefully, and we'll try to kind of get to it. Yes.
जो मेरे को वह डालने के लिए
Okay. All right. So let's talk about Docker a little bit. So
Sir,
Docker,
in the post installation steps, I was trying that thing out, and there is something called configuring remote access by changing the TCP port from the root port to something else.
that is not required, at least for our purposes.
Yeah, I tried that up, and it messed up a lot of things apparently.
Okay, what
Now my Docker service is not starting because I changed the IP. And when I try to reload the Docker service, it says it can't connect.
Did you try that command systemctl?
Yeah, I tried that.
Okay,
The
restart
Docker is
Docker
not
to
running.
this.
So I deleted
Sir,
everything.
in the post installation, there are certain steps that we have to do. So I did just the first step, like from. So because of that, we need not use sudo every time.
Yeah, that is the one which I wanted you to do. Manage
Okay.
Docker as a non-root user.
Yeah.
The only one which I wanted to get that set up.
No, I thought
Otherwise, whatever commands we discussed today, we'll have to add sudo in front of them.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it will not work. That is the only downside. Okay. Okay. So main advantage of using a Docker container is that we don't have to worry about the environment. So sometimes I may be working on a Python virtual environment, and because for some reason some package doesn't work, and I might have simply installed it, and it may not have come into my requirements.txt at some point down the line. Okay, so when I'm trying to port that environment to somebody else, say one of my students, one of you is trying to get the code and start that instance off with that code, you'll find that there are certain dependency issues which are not resolved. It will say that certain packages are not available. And this kind of happened already with the what you call Vrx installation 2. I was missing two packages which were causing a lot of trouble. One is NumPy, because I created a new virtual environment, it was missing NumPy. And also it was missing something called diffused XML and EMPY. These were the two packages which I was not able to get to install with the Docker and get it running. But the Docker is a nice environment that it is isolated from your base environment. So if you're during development, you're doing it in Docker, then the advantage you get is no matter who you send that Docker container to, they will run it exactly the same way as it has been working on your system. So there is very little chance of seeing something else coming out of it as long as it is the same container that you are sending. Container is nothing but just a virtual machine. For those of you unfamiliar, I think some of you are a little more familiar with these concepts, but some are less. So Docker is nothing but a virtual machine of sorts, but it is much more than a virtual machine because it really does not use a complete operating system. It uses some of the basic features or basic libraries of your host operating system and only installs those libraries which are not there in some sense. Okay? But for our point of view, from a code developer's point of view, all that is immaterial. So you can simply think of Docker as a virtual machine. An environment in which if you run something and test something and you give that Docker container to somebody else. So let's say Vallabh tested his code on a certain Docker environment and he gave that container to Ashwin. And when Ashwin runs the code in that container, it will behave exactly the same as it behaved in Vallabh's machine. You can't expect to see even a small iota of a difference come up as long as it is the same container. Okay? Because generally what happens when we give a code, what happens, we put it in a GitHub repository, we pull down the GitHub repository, but then what are the packages installed on my machine may be different from the packages which are installed on yours. Even though I may have requirements.txt and I try to port all the requirements in, there may be some which may have skipped or there may be some which are incompatible. Some packages may be incompatible with each other. All those issues generally give a lot of trouble, especially when you're writing a very big program and you want to kind of do it in a distributed manner. So if I have a big piece of code which I want 4 or 5 people to contribute to, I usually find that it is much better to have a streamlined container in which I can write, port, and get it working. Okay, so today we'll kind of walk through that idea. We'll try to take a look at setting up of the Docker container, especially with the Vrx. I'm really interested in the Vrx because I know that some students are having issues with setting the entire thing up. And that's the inhibition to get started on the project. So let's kind of remove that hesitation out by trying out the Docker containers with the Vrx environment. Then later we will do the Docker container for our code, which is called Hydra, which can simulate the motions of a vessel, which we have shared with everybody. That uses Dockerized applications and it is running in Amazon AWS using containerized services. So we'll try to take a look at that as well, particularly for Aditya, okay? Because he has to, we'll talk about the experiments which are upcoming in the next week for us using the ASV. For that, we need certain tests to be performed. And those testing we will be performing with the use of these Dockerized containers. Okay. Okay, so without further ado, why don't we go ahead and start? So I'll do one thing. I'll also try out this Docker container based Vrx on my system. So let me see. I think I already have it. So what we will do is we'll try to remove it and reinstall. Okay. These are all the images which are there. Okay, yeah. So Rocker, Noetic, Cross base. Okay, I don't need all of these. So I'm going to remove all of these and then start from scratch. Okay, so this color. So Docker image RMI removes images. So I'm just putting together one by one and removing all the images which I want to reinstall together with you guys today. Okay. elsewhere, so we have to come back to it. Okay, cannot be forced. Images dependent child images. What are those child images? NGL Ubuntu. Why is this one not going away? It should have gone away. Okay, doesn't matter. We will go ahead with the installation now, and hopefully everything will come back. All right, so let's look at Vrx installation. So we'll go into system setup, and we'll go into this one, use a Docker image. So first thing is to install dependencies. I think the first step is done. Everybody has Docker now, and the post-installation steps are to use it as a non-root user. The next thing, this is required to set up an NVIDIA container toolkit. This is primarily required if you want to use the NVIDIA graphics card specifically for visualization purposes. So for that, you need to install the NVIDIA graphics driver, and then you have to follow the NVIDIA container toolkit. If you want, you can kind of see here. It's pretty simple. NVIDIA toolkit for the Ubuntu. So this is the first command, and then you simply apply the update, and then you install Docker 2. That's all. After that, you should have NVIDIA Docker running. Now, these 3 steps I've already performed, so I'm not going to retrace those steps for now. Okay, so we'll proceed forward from here. We'll look at install Docker. Okay, so this is the simplest way to do. So what I did was I created a Conda environment. So created a Conda environment called Vrx. In which I simply did pip install Docker. So for me, it is saying requirements are already satisfied, but if not, then it will simply install Docker onto your virtual environment. Okay, I'll try to not do this where I keep coming back to this. Okay, okay. So once you have the Docker, you can test out.
Sir, I will come back in a minute, sir.
All right. Okay, so once you have Docker, you can test out these examples. You can try it. I think I was able to get this example running, especially for the flying of a drone. So you can try it out later on and forward on. Okay, once these Docker and everything is installed, it is pretty straightforward.
Vilas, I need your help. Can you drop us in NAC?
Okay, all right. All right, where was I? Okay. Yeah, so we have finished installation of the dependencies. That is what we were looking at. So install Docker, and that completes the dependencies. Okay. Is everybody able to follow along up till there? Are you able to install pip install Docker? Did it work?
Yes, sir.
Work? All right. If not, let me know, okay? Wherever you're getting stuck, let me know. Okay, once we are there, the next part is to build and run the Vrx image. And this is where it is pretty straightforward. Actually, it's very, very easy to do it. Simply have to copy this and just paste it into your this one. Only thing is clone it into your home directory, so that is the best. And it will basically start making a container. And it will create basically a container. So while it is doing this, I just want to show you what is there in this. So when you go into this and you're running the build.bash, it's actually executing this Docker file, which is located in dockwater noetic Docker file. Okay, what this is doing is nothing but, is the font readable? Maybe not. Is the font readable now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's pulling from an existing Docker image of ROS, okay, where ROS Noetic base version is installed, and then it is taking the putting in certain arguments. It's defining certain arguments. So release is a variable. This is defined as focal, which corresponds to Ubuntu 20.04. Distribution is corresponding to Noetic. Gazebo 11 is the version which is compatible with ROS Noetic. So those are the ones which are getting defined here. And then it's simply running an installation command to install a few set of packages. It's installing build essentials, cmake, cpp check, curl, git. All these packages are getting installed into that container. So it's essentially taking a base image of Ubuntu on which ROS Noetic base has been loaded, and on top of that it is trying to install these packages. Okay, so far so good. Yes, no.
Yes, sir.
Everybody with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. The next step, what it does, it is exporting, it's continuing to install a few more things, okay? And then it comes down to this, /bin/sh-c, nothing but it is running these commands in the bash terminal of that container that we have created. It is adding these debs, so it's basically looking for these ROS packages and Ubuntu packages and Gazebo packages and adding them to the apt key. And once it is all done, it is installing them, continuing to install all these. So it's installing ROS deb, Catkin tools, ROS install, Gazebo, all these different things are getting installed. This is more or less similar to what you would observe if you were to do this installation on a host machine. So when you're doing it on a host machine, the only difference was you were running them in your computer terminal. But here it is getting executed in a Docker container. It's running in a virtual machine. That's the only difference. The commands are exactly the same. Okay. Once all of that is done, your container is ready to run. And that's what this Docker file is going to do. Once this Docker file has been executed, it creates a Docker image. Okay, just like an image files which we take on a computer backups from time to time, where all the version of the OS and everything is maintained. You create an image of that Docker container, and now you can run that Docker container in order to execute things in that containerized environment. Okay, so this Docker file is what we have just executed here. Okay, so all these different steps have happened. So if you look back, what it has done, I'll go back all the way to the top. So we installed pip install rocker, then we did that bash build noetic. That is that script which started off building of the container. And you see it starts off in steps. Step 1 from ROS noetic ROS base. It pulled the container image from so and so place. Then it defined these variables. So these are exactly the same commands which you saw before. Is that making sense? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
When I'm not on this screen, I can't see you guys. So you have to tell me, otherwise I will not know. Okay? Nodding your head, I won't be visible to me. All right. Okay, so all of these different steps run and it successfully built the container, tagged the container by this particular case. It's called noetic and a timestamp 2021 1201 1220. At 1220 I built it. Okay, then I ran the bash file ROS noetic latest. So what it is doing, it is setting up another container basically, or especially for the other things. And those are the two containers. Once they are all finished, you'll see it's available now when I say Docker images. Oh, that's not working because I have loaded into the container. Okay, let me show you what that means. This is the file that you ran, build.bash, right? What it is doing is at the end of the day and at the end of the case, it's tagging the container, build the image and so to run. Then we also did the run command. Somewhere I did the run command. Where is the run command?
Sir, you don't know which terminal you will be working in then.
Sorry?
So this terminal is right now the image terminal now.
It is right now the image terminal. I'm just trying to find the command where I get entered into it. I think
It doesn't open a new terminal or anything, it just goes into it there.
correct. It goes into it because it is there in the run.bash. So yeah, it starts off the rocker command here, then it gives all the requirements and then it runs.
When it creates an image, is it downloading Ubuntu and all the packages again?
It is there on your system. Actually, let's see. Let me show you.
Is it downloading or it just takes from our system?
Come again?
Is it downloading new packages?
Yeah, it is building an image. So if you open a new terminal, let us say I open a new terminal and I say Docker images here, you'll see those two images which were created, they'll be listed here.
So each image will like take up a lot of memory, right?
Yes, it's pretty big.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So Rocker, see, I removed this package to begin with when I started off, right? 7 minutes ago, it created it. Okay. And then it created a ROS noetic at 1220. This image,
And all of these are virtual images.
these are all?
Virtual images.
Yes, they're basically virtual images. One
And
will be ROS,
I'm
one
trying to run this inside another virtual machine. Will that work?
it will work, but only thing is it will just make it extremely slow. Why do you want to run inside of a virtual machine?
Like I'm running on Ubuntu, right? My Ubuntu is on a virtual machine.
Sorry?
My Ubuntu is on a virtual machine.
Why are you? No, you could have done this on Windows.
Oh, okay.
You could have installed Docker on your Windows and straightforwardly run this.
Okay.
You need not create another virtual machine and create a virtual machine container inside of a virtual machine. It's unnecessary.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I can Okay, I can do that.
Okay, so you can simply install Docker for Docker desktop on Windows, and once you are done there, you can execute the same commands again. In fact, on Windows it is much simpler. You don't need to do all this add sudo to the user as a non-root user. All that is not required.
Okay.
Simply install Docker desktop, and from there on you can come back here and start right here.
Okay. Yeah.
All of this is done then. Only thing which will require is if you have an NVIDIA graphics card which you would like to use for visualization, you should install the NVIDIA graphics driver. Okay,
Yeah.
specify that for 20.04, which will be required for our ROS Noetic, will require at least 460 mm.
Yes, I have drivers.
Okay. So other than that, then you can simply come to the build and run Vrx image and start right from here. You can simply clone the repository and do this. It should straight work without any requirement for going into another Ubuntu terminals. Simple Windows PowerShell will do the trick. Okay.
Sir, I had a question. Sir, you
Yes.
did something with Conda. What is that? Conda, I'm not aware of it.
I did something with Conda particularly to get the, what do you call it? I just set up a virtual environment. But
Okay.
let me see whether that was actually needed. It was, what I did was I set up that virtual environment Vrx to install Rocker.
Okay. Fine.
Okay. Rocker is a composite tool which can handle multiple Docker containers to work together.
Okay.
So typically what happens is when we do our ROS, when we are trying to run ROS, you're trying to run Gazebo as well as RViz in general.
Yes.
Correct? So here what it will do is it will put them into separate containers and run them.
Okay. Got it.
And Rocker is basically controlling these multiple containers, how they interact with each other. All of that control is happening in Rocker.
Okay.
For our purposes, we don't need to really worry about that also because they have simply put all of that thing into a script and they are simply asking us to run that run.bash and join.bash. That's all.
Okay,
Was
sir,
Docker
understood.
also installed inside a new environment?
Sorry?
Was Docker also installed inside the same environment?
No. Docker was installed on your host machine.
And the
Docker is not something of a Python thing that it can be installed in a virtual environment.
environment is inside the
Sorry?
and the environment is inside the virtual machine run by Docker.
Yeah, whatever you now created, it is running inside of a container.
Okay.
Okay? No, I didn't follow your question.
No,
Ask me what-
where did you install Docker?
Rocker I installed on my system. This is not inside the virtual container. This is outside the virtual container. This is the first step that I did. I'm still in my computer.
In your base.
In my base, I created a Conda environment called Vrx.
Okay.
And in that Vrx Conda environment, I installed Rocker.
Okay, and then?
Okay.
Sir, could this Docker be installed in the base itself?
Yes, it can be done in the base itself. I just didn't want to mess up at a later point having dependencies on other things, which is why I chose to do it in a virtual environment. So that if anything goes wrong, I can just simply close that virtual environment and go forward.
Yeah, after that you cloned the Git into that virtual environment.
After that, I cloned the Git, correct. After that, I Git clone, okay, and then I cd'd into that, and then I simply ran the .build.bash noetic.
And this will create the virtual machine.
This will create the Docker container. It will build the Docker image from the Docker file which is there on this Git repository.
Okay.
So when I clone this repository, right, docwater.git, so suppose I show you, I cloned it on my home directory here, right?
Okay.
So when you go into my home directory, you'll see a folder called docwater.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Inside this docwater, you will see these scripts: build.bash, join.bash, and run.bash.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay, and basically when I say build.bash, inside Noetic there is a file called Docker file. This is the file that is getting executed to form that Docker image.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Got it. And you said we had to install NumPy and some other packages, right?
Correct. I think it was NumPy, EMPY. There was one package called.
This is all. They have to be installed also in this VRX environment.
Yes, they'll also have to be installed in the. They will have to be installed in the VRX environment. No, you actually don't need them in the VRX environment. That dependency may not come for you. Let's wait and see. Let's not jump the gun. Let's wait and see. It came on my Docker container that it was missing those packages when I was doing cat inmate, which we will come to in a minute. But maybe you may not require it. So just bear with me for a minute there.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So far everybody with me? Okay, so once this build is finished, what it will do is, okay, so if we go back here, let's see what all it ran. Yeah, so you executed this git clone, then you said cd docwater, and then you said build the container, and then you said run the container. Okay? All right.
Yes,
when I
sir.
copied and pasted in my terminal, these are the 4 things which happened. I did git clone, first command, then I did the build. Okay, I did cd docwater, which is here, and then I did the build, and then finally I did the run. Okay. Once I did the run, it went into the Docker container and it's showing me that I am now inside the Docker container. Remember here that when I took another terminal, let's say here, this is my base computer, Abhilash at IITM. But what you see here is Abhilash at some random string. That is inside the Docker container. Everybody with me so far?
Yes, sir.
Sir, if you try it in Windows, will it open an Ubuntu terminal or?
It will open a terminal. In your PowerShell itself, it will open, but then you will get the root, you will get the bash terminal inside of your
Okay.
PowerShell. Okay? Okay, and when I say Docker images, you'll see that this Docker images that it has created, let's see, Docker ps -a. So this first command which I did here, Docker images, shows me the images which I have built. But I want to see which are the containers which are running right now. And it is inside this one container that I am currently, isn't it? In order to see that, I can do Docker ps -a, and it will show me a list of all the containers which are running. And in fact, if you see here, this number, the container ID which you see here, is going to be the same as what I have here. Okay? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
How many of you are able to follow me along and are actually able to execute and get the environment ready up till this point?
So I will be watching the video again and then record installing, because I don't have Conda, so I'm thinking that first I will do that that way only.
If you have virtual environment, you can even use virtual environment. You don't have to use Conda only.
Okay. I didn't install any virtual environment.
You didn't require a virtual environment? I thought
I didn't install any virtual environment before.
like VENV.
It directly works?
With VENV also it will work.
Okay, okay.
You can just create a virtual environment in VENV and that's fine too.
Okay. And then, like on your system, this VRX, the Conda VRX that you created, in that you installed this Docker thing.
Correct. Rocker is what I
Sorry, Docker.
started it.
Huh.
Correct. So basically, I created an environment with Python 3.8, base environment with Python 3.8, in which I installed pip install Rocker. So the same you can do with your virtual environment using VNV as well. Doesn't have to be Conda only.
Okay.
Okay. It is only to, this is only required, Rocker is only required to initialize and start building the containers. So especially these scripts which are running the /build bash and run bash, those will be initializing a Rocker commands. And that Rocker command will in turn be spinning out the Docker containers, with one with Gazebo, one with ROS, and all those containers will be handled by this Rocker container. So if you go back into my terminal here, when I was looking at the list of images, you see this Rocker image was created primarily to when we were doing the build.bash. Okay? And this noepic image, which is the ROS installed here, that is being run when we execute .run.bash. Okay, yes, no.
Yes, sir.
Confusion? Something is not clear? Tell me if something is not clear, tell me. Everything okay so far?
Yes, sir. I think so.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
See, what is happening is it is not building one Docker container, but it is building multiple Docker containers, which are layered on one on top of the other. So it doesn't do all the virtual machine in one package. The final one is one package, but it is composed of, so you can think of the final Docker container in which we are going into. That is built on 3 different Docker containers or 2 different Docker containers. Okay, and we initially built these 2 Docker containers and then we were able to build the final one. That making sense? It's, for example, you can think of it like this. I had the first container in which I only had Ubuntu. The next container I installed ROS onto Ubuntu. In that next container I installed Gazebo. And finally what I said, okay, I want to build a final container which is layering on top of all of these, which will have ROS as well as Gazebo. Okay. If you look here, I can probably show this and this will probably make more sense. The container ID is this, but the image based on which this is running is actually this first one, isn't it? It created a new image, which is 3.42 GB, which is using dependencies on this fellow and this fellow. Okay, it is not visible to us, but it doesn't matter for us. All that matters is this is the final container which is running for us. Okay, I seem to have lost you guys somewhere. Tell me where. Tell me, where am I lost you? No?
Sir, I understood. I'm actually building that bash, noetic bash. Right? So that is happening.
We're building a VRX container. Vishwa, is that so?
Yes, sir. I'm running the build.bash noetic. That command is still running. It's taking a long time. For me to start.
Yeah, it will take a long time because it'll install a whole bunch of stuff. First time around, it will take a really long time. But the next time around, it will take lesser and lesser times. In fact, once it has been built, you really do not need to restart or rebuild containers. You will only be entering into the containers. You'll only be using the run.bash. We won't be using the build.bash often. We'll be only using the build.bash once. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
So once you execute the run.bash, you should be at a position something like this where you have now entered into the Docker container. Okay, I want to ask how many of you are following along with me right now? Like you're trying to do that on your local machine. No one? Really? No one? Why not?
Sir, I'm trying.
Yeah, Vishwa is trying, I know that, because he's running the bash dot this one. Why don't you guys try it out? It's worthwhile.
So I have opened Windows. For that, I have to open the Ubuntu to run the ROS. So,
Sorry? No,
sir,
this doesn't have to do anything with either it is on Ubuntu or on Windows. You can run it on both. You just need Docker on it, that's all.
yes, sir, that I have.
You have Docker on your Windows?
Yes, sir, you told me about 2-3 months before to learn about Docker. That time I have gone through it.
Yeah, so once you have Docker, then the thing is pretty simple. After the installation of Docker is over, you simply have to create a virtual environment in Windows. You have a Python on Windows?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so if you have Python on Windows, you simply do pip install Docker. That is this first command which we did. In your Python terminal, after you are in your Python terminal, you simply install Docker into it. Okay. And then you simply have to execute this build.bash.
Sir, I was setting up the NVIDIA tool container toolkit and I seem to have run into some problem.
What is the problem that you're running into?
So like, I'm not able to.
Would you like to show me your screen?
Sir, I just uninstalled it and I'm trying again now. So.
Okay. Still, are you coming up with the same error?
No, sir, I haven't completed the process yet.
Okay. But NVIDIA installation should be just 3 or 4 lines. You just have to copy paste the 4 commands, that's all.
Yes, sir, but the test command wasn't getting the proper response.
Which test command? The NVIDIA SMI.
Yes, sir.
Can you share your screen? I'd like to just see.
Okay, one second.
I want you guys to be able to follow along so that then only you will be able to actually see this working. It's only a total of at max totally 10 commands, no more than that. Okay, so it's worthwhile to do it right now. All right, yeah, so you will do the first command. That is not required, that is not to be done. That is an experimental feature.
Okay.
It says right there, note,
Yes.
to access experimental features. You don't need experimental features. Now simply go to sudo apt get update. Which Ubuntu version are you on?
20.04.
Oh, all right. All right, now do the next one, NVIDIA Docker 2.
Sir, the Windows installation defaults to C drive, and I can't change it.
Docker
That for Docker.
doesn't matter wherever it goes to.
No, I do not have.
You can
any
change
memory.
it actually. There is a way, but it is a custom way that you can change to where the Docker images are stored.
Yeah, so I need to move it.
Because there is no space in C, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, what is the problems which it encountered?
Somewhere.
No, did it already finish or is it still continuing?
So some
Okay.
errors were encountered.
Okay, while processing Docker CE and NVIDIA Docker 2 /user/bin_dpkg return an error code 1. Can you go up? Let's see where the error came. Ah, wait. Docker CE is not configured yet. Docker IO is not installed. Docker EE is not installed. Did you install Docker?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just type Docker images. Sudo Docker images. Cannot connect to Docker socket. Okay, do that sudo systemctl restart Docker. Systemctl is one word. Systemctl restart Docker. Okay, now do sudo Docker images. Oh, something is wrong. Systems program detected problem. Okay, hit cancel and let's move on. Do Docker images again. Yeah. Now your Docker is running. Okay. Previously your Docker environment was not running.
Okay.
So let's rerun the NVIDIA Docker command.
From first or just this one, sir?
No, just the last one. Did you perform sudo apt get update?
Yes.
Maybe start from there again. Sudo apt get update first, and then do the Docker installation.
Sir, I have done installing.
Yes, Shadab, you were able to install?
Yes, sir. I have completed installing Docker
And also able to finish the Vrx environments also, .build and
yes, sir. That is working now. It is installing.
so run has worked. Okay, anyway, we will wait for Aditya to do it as well. Since I've started with one person, let me stick with him. Okay, So now it is set up, right? Now do systemctl restart Docker. All right, now do this thing. It will now try to pull that images. Do you have a GPU, Aditya?
Yes, sir.
It's an NVIDIA GPU?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Runtime fail. Okay, error run. Start this. Driver not loaded. Is your NVIDIA graphics driver loaded? No?
Why will
Just
it
type
not be loaded?
NVIDIA-SMI. SMI? Yeah. No, because your
Yes,
graphics.
sir. I will need to restart my PC. So let me. I'll try it on my own.
Yeah, go ahead and restart, no problem. Okay, so that means your graphics driver is not there, Aditya. Go into your
Okay.
program files, the programs where you access from the bottom right left corner.
Sir.
Bottom left corner. Type additional.
Sorry, sir, I couldn't hear.
Yeah, type additional drivers, I think. Yeah, that one. Press enter. Okay, so go into additional drivers. Yeah, that's fine, Vishwa. Go ahead. It will search for the available drivers and it will show you the list of the drivers. And you have to apply those changes. And after you apply, see it is using, it's not using the NVIDIA's graphics cards. This one, is it? Okay.
So I just apply this.
You have to apply and then you'll have to restart.
Okay.
Sir, hello.
Yes, Vishwa. Yes, Vishwa.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. I can hear you.
Sir, for me the builds, so the build step is still running for me, and I have some other things scheduled for now. So I'll try the rest of the steps by the end of the day, and if I have any other queries, I'll get back.
Go ahead, go ahead. Yeah, that's fine.
Yes, sir. Bye.
Now, I want to at least see one person be able to do it so that I can be confident that others can do it. It's not such difficult a task. This is why I wanted to get this done. Anand, how about you? Till where have you come?
So it's showing that I need to restart.
The Docker container. No.
Yes, sir. The Windows.
After installing your Vrx.
No, sir. After installing my Docker, it just got installed now, and I should restart it.
Okay, restart. No problem. You can come back and join in again. Vallan, what about you?
So I'm doing the NVIDIA stuff.
They're also doing the NVIDIA on Ubuntu or on Windows.
Ubuntu.
Okay. Aditya?
Sir, like I have done there are total 3 steps. So I have done the first step, the Docker installation and the sudo removal. Then the second step is NVIDIA thing. So for
Correct.
that, do I need to do that virtual environment and all? Like,
No, that is NVIDIA Container Toolkit. That is what this fellow is doing right now. The other Aditya is doing right now on his screen.
Okay.
Exactly those steps only you need to follow.
okay, yeah, I will do this commands in.
Wow, your driver is taking a lot of time to download.
Yes, sir.
I guess because we are having our video on. Maybe you can shut down the video, it might change bandwidth. Krishnavelu, you're able to do it?
Yes, sir.
So you have installed VRX already? What step are you at?
Docker step installed, sir, but it's asking close and restart.
Okay, go ahead.
That's only right. Okay, sir.
Shweta,
Yes, sir.
at what step are you?
Sir, I am trying to put this command build.bash noetic, but the program is not responding.
Program
It's
is
saying
not
that
responding.
the dot which comes at the first place is not a internal or external command. Don't know what does it mean.
One second. Aditya, while he is doing this, can you stop sharing? I'd like to just take it Shadab's
So,
screen.
like, I think some problems happening because I'm not able to do anything. So,
Sorry?
sir, like some problem is happening, sir. I'm not able to hear it clearly because of the process that's happening.
I'm unable to hear you clearly, Aditya. Aditya, okay, yeah, go ahead, show me what is the problem. No, whose screen am I looking at? I'm seeing two presentations, I guess. No, I'm looking at Shadab's screen probably.
Yes, sir. My screen
Okay,
is
Shadab's screen.
So,
Okay, all right.
sir, basically, the problem lies here. This command.
Dot build dot bash will not work, right?
Yes, sir.
Just open the terminal and search how to run dot bash files, how to run bash file in Windows. Yeah. Google it. I have forgotten it. There is a way to do it because I did it in the morning, but I have forgotten what the command was. Yeah, first one. How to run .sh files. Come down. Yeah, come down further. Type bash. Okay, do one thing. Just say build.bash and space noetic.
Build dot bash. Space noetic.
How do you want to open this file? Okay. Okay. Cancel it. Okay, I understand. Go to the website.
Which site, sir?
This website. Can you scroll up slightly? Scroll up, not down. Okay. Yeah, you need to do this step. First step, install WSL. Go to settings, update and security.
Settings.
Yeah. Open that settings. Okay. Update and security. Oh, you're on Windows 11, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. All right, that is for Windows 10, I think. So you have to go back and search for Windows 11 WSL.
Sir, that I will search.
No, in that instead of, it is for 10 or 11, no? Correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, update and security is not there. Okay, look for developer. in the settings. Developer. No plural, single. Developer settings. Go back to that one. I think it said developer mode, no? You show that. No, not that, not that. On the website.
Okay.
Yeah, check the developer mode.
Radio button.
Yeah, developer mode on. Switch it on. Yes. Okay. Now go back to that website. It will ask you to install an app called WSL, Windows
WS.
Subscription for Linux. Come down. Scroll to find WSL and check the box and then install it. Okay, turn in Windows features on or off. Okay, go back to your settings. Come down. Further down.
So that
That is it. Okay. Go up slightly. Further up. In the search bar there, type WSL. Okay. Subtract L. I thought maybe you were typing. Okay, that's not what we want. Okay. Going to apps below.
where, sir?
Below.
Yeah, apps.
Apps and features. Still getting up. Insert apps. Okay, search for app. It won't enter. You have to install it. Okay. Oh,
So I think I need to install it because at the time when I first installed Docker, there was a method to use WSL to work with it. But I choose another method to directly use the Docker from that.
okay. Yeah, the WSL will be required in order to run these bash scripts.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Okay. All right. But I think if you just open apps instead of settings, come down and click on your search bar and open apps, Microsoft Store. No, not there. On your start button.
Okay.
The Microsoft Store. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. 1 second. There seems to be an easier way. 1 second. Oh, okay. Can you open a PowerShell? I think that was much simpler. I think. Windows PowerShell. Yeah. Okay. Now say WSL. Small. Everything small. Space. 2 hyphens. Install.
Without space.
Without a space. Press enter. Go up. I think the command was slightly wrong maybe. WSL install. minus D space Ubuntu.
Minus T space 1.
Maybe 1 second. Maybe what is happening is simply first type WSL space minus L space minus O
WSL minus
space minus L
space minus L.
space minus O. Enter. Ubuntu is there, no? So WSL, again you do the same thing. WSL space hyphen install space Ubuntu capital U hyphen 20.04.
Ubuntu
Capital U in the beginning. You see that last line right before what you're typing? That is the name you have to give.
Ubuntu
Hyphen 20.04. Go up. Something went wrong. No, not that up. That much up. Maybe you're missing something small. That is what this Ubuntu 20.04 is what you need to install. Okay. Minus D is what you're missing. Okay. It says there right there. WSL hyphen install minus D space Ubuntu 20.04.
install and then space minus T space.
Yeah. So this will take some time to download and install.
Sir, but I have Ubuntu, means I have installed a dual boot setup. I have done.
That's okay. This will not mess with that.
Okay.
Okay, this will not mess with that. Okay, Aditya and Vallabh, how far are we?
Sir, can I share my screen like you can
Yes.
guide?
Go ahead, share your screen. Just for a second, Aditya Ravindran.
Yes, sir.
You restarted. Did it work?
No, sir, not yet. It is still showing the same error. So I'm
What error?
the same error, sir. Like it couldn't connect to NVIDIA.
But are you now using the new? Did you restart with the new?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, Aditya, go ahead.
Yes, sir. So I completed these 4 commands.
Okay, did it work?
Yeah. So finally, it's saying this.
Very good. So it is starting
But-
the NVIDIA.
But here it is saying that this GPU is not
That
on.
is okay. That doesn't matter.
Okay. Yeah. So next, then I have to
Same
go
thing was
here.
happening for me. I was checking what was going on.
Oh,
That's okay. Don't worry about it. Inside the container, you will not see all that information come up. That's all.
yeah. So now I have to do this. No, the step 3, install Docker.
Correct.
So
So
for
just
that,
create a virtual environment.
so what should I give a name for that?
Give a name Vrx, as I did. If you want to give it some other name, it's fine as well. It's up to you, whatever you want to name it. But I'm not sure what are the commands for V and V. You have to make sure that you get those commands right.
Yeah, I sent that link now, Aditya.
Oh, okay. Oh, this was open only.
pip install करें
हाँ, pip install है.
मग खाली direct last step.
If you do pip install, you are doing it in the base environment.
Like V and V, like इथे नाव दे /opt/my first
Yeah,
innovator.
Python 3.8.
Python 3.8. Oh,
Yeah, no, Python 3. Yeah, that's fine. Conda is different.
pnv.
/opt/vrx. I thought this was there was a C. Do sudo. Everything except sudo.
Okay, now I have to go there.
source/opt/vrx/activate. No such file or directory.
Should I do sudo again?
vrx/bin/activate.
VRS
Oh, yeah.
/activate. Thank you for pointing that out. So now you're in a virtual environment. Pip install Rocker. There's some error.
Building wheel for empy error.
What is the error?
Error command errored out with exit status 1.
Can you increase the font? Click on the 3 bars. Yeah, change, increase that further. Okay, maybe do pip install empy. This is one of the packages which gave me trouble later on. empy.
Problem again.
Still giving the same problem.
Command errored out with exit status 1. Oh, this invalid command.
Bdist.
Failed building wheel for empy.
Okay, that is surprising. But if you do this with the Conda, it should work. I don't know why it's not working with E, V, and V. It should work with that as well. Bdist_v. Google for that. What is that bdist_v? Come down. Come further down. Solution.
Had to install the wheel package. Everything was up to date. Then Python setup.py bdist.
Pip install wheel.
Yeah.
Pip install wheel.
Permission denied.
So permission denied. You are creating a virtual environment all the way in OPT directory. It requires sudo.
Okay. So I need to do sudo every time.
Created it elsewhere. Then it would not have asked.
Okay, then I will create it elsewhere then.
That's fine. Go with sudo now. You have started anyway. Yeah, sudo pip install wheel. Yeah.
Requirement already satisfied.
Okay, so maybe you should do that sudo install pip install rocker. That should take care of everything.
Okay, it's doing it. It's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you can move on.
So now
Rocker is done. We go back and we now run. Yeah, all that is not required for now. Let's go and go into the wiki. Back. Yeah. Install dependencies run. No. Use Docker image. Click on that. Yeah. So
build and run
Vrx image.
Okay.
So
So
git
this.
clone that repository.
One at a time, or okay,
Do
just
one at a time better.
done.
Okay, good, done. CD doc water. Okay. Dot slash. Got permission denied. Sudo.
Yeah, I should have done it somewhere else.
No, this is telling you that your Docker was that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good. It's done in doing it now.
But sir, I have done this post installation, all the steps like till here.
So you open a new terminal and say Docker images, is it working?
Oh,
No, you
why?
have not done it.
No, sir, I have done it, sir.
So then you should do sudo systemctl.
Oh, to restart that.
Yeah. Systemctl restart Docker. Okay, now do Docker images.
Let's say in Docker that
I think you
image
need
and
to
image.
start. That's okay. For now, we can continue with sudo. It's not a big deal.
Oh, it's downloading.
Unexpected end of file. What the hell happened there?
Unexpected EOF.
Run it again. Oh, you restarted Docker when this was going on, no?
Oh, okay.
That is why it got messed up. Let it run. This will take some time. Let it run. Okay, in the meantime, Aditya Ravindran, maybe you can share your screen. I want to see what is the problem. I want to fix that.
Okay, I will stop sharing that.
Yes. This is 20.04. Why are you installing? No. No. You are installing 450, whereas the required driver is 460.
Sure.
Okay. Sudo apt install NVIDIA driver 460. Same command, 450 should be changed to 460.
Yes, sir, I changed.
No, are you running? I am not seeing the screen change. Maybe it is stuck for me.
Oh, sir, are you not able to see this? Yeah,
I am not yet. After you press no, we are stuck there.
oh. Yeah, I'm running the command, sir.
Maybe stop sharing and reshare so we can see. Anand, are you able to run it?
Sir, I installed Docker and Ubuntu, sir, but I'm not able to like change the username and password of it, sir.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording here because this recording is slowly starting to have no meaning. We have to